So we'll begin. So a restorative practice for the evening hours. So when you're ready, finding your comfortable seat, and I suggest, if you can, sitting on a bolster or a blanket, to kind of get the hips or the knees almost in like alignment with the hips, or even the knees just below the hips, so that it kind of gives you this nice spinal support to sit up tall. If you've been fairly sedentary throughout the day, or you've been working throughout the day, whether you've been seated or if you're recovering from an injury and you have to be fairly sedentary, maybe just kind of like, lying on a couch or sitting up, this practice this evening will help to kind of restore that energy of the lumbar spine as well as the thoracic. So when you're ready, softly allowing the eyes to float closed. And just starting to bring awareness to this evening hour, how you tend to feel around this time. If maybe this is a time that you usually practice yoga, or it was a time that just worked for your schedule this evening. And just so we set the intention to be as present as possible, give yourself the permission to scan over your day briefly. And then slowly bring your awareness back into this moment. And as you're seated here, start to notice any kind of maybe uncomfortable feelings in the body, any kind of pain or tension that you're experiencing at the moment. Or maybe you're feeling pretty good. Start to notice how you're breathing. Is it fast or slow? Is it shallow or deep? Notice if you're starting to feel your breath more in your shoulders. So if you bring your attention to the shoulders, maybe you notice the shoulders floating up and down as you inhale and exhale. If that's the case, that's okay. We're slowly going to try to bring our awareness to the belly and try to breathe in and out through the belly. If it helps, you can place a palm there. As you inhale, expand the belly and feel the ribs go a little wider away from the spine. And as you exhale, drawing it all back in towards the spine. A few more breaths, just like that. Try to keep this breath throughout our practice. I'll remind you in case you tend to forget, or maybe you get a little too comfortable and you're starting to notice the breath get a little shallower in the chest. When you're ready, guiding the palms to touch in front of the heart. Just feeling that connection of your palms, maybe noticing the temperature of the palms. If you tend to get poor circulation to the palms, maybe they're a little cold, or maybe they're fairly warm as we've gone throughout the day. And set your personal intention for your practice this evening. When you're ready, release the hands down to the knees or to the thighs and softly float the eyes open. We'll begin just with some gentle movement to get some circulation in the body before our restorative practice. Keep your left hand on the left knee or inner leg and begin to twist to your right side. Reach your right hand behind you. It's nice if you have a kind of pillow underneath. You can kind of maybe lightly grip the pillow. Focus the breath again into the belly. You can stay here or cross left hand to right thigh. And as you do that, maybe you notice a little tension in the shoulders or some restriction in the belly, and that's okay. You always have this option to keep your twist nice and open. Maybe you're breathing deeper in this more open twist. And then slowly unwind. Pause once you do. Come back to center. Take a deep breath in. And as you breathe out, twist gently to your left side. Keep an open twist, so right hand on right knee or thigh. And reach behind with your left. If you tried something on one side, explore it on the other. If it's not happening, come back to the place before. Relax the shoulders. Breathe into the belly. And then slowly unwind. Come back to center. Pause for a moment. Then begin to remove any prop that you had underneath. We're going to make our way onto the back. And you don't need any prop here, but if you'd like some support underneath the head, please take a blanket or a towel underneath your head. And then once you come down, the knees are bent. Send the feet wide to the edges of your mat. And then lightly start to draw the knees in towards each other. So a nice little kind of restorative posture here for the lower back. Feel the connection of the spine to the floor. Try to let the shoulders relax as much as they can. You can rest the hands wherever you'd like. Keep the feet where they are, so the feet are to the edges of your mat, and begin to separate the knees away from each other. And we're just going to bring some circulation, blood flow to the lumbar spine, so those lower discs. Gently start to rock the knees side to side. So again, a wide stance with the feet, and just trying to move the pelvis. So the knees are kind of secondary in this sway from side to side. Try to kind of initiate your movement from your pelvis. With this, the knees kind of gently swing almost, a little bit of some propelling here. Find a rhythm that feels good for you. Breathe. It's about 30 more seconds here. This is just a really great movement to do. Again, as we mentioned, if you were sitting a lot through the day or you've been fairly sedentary during this time, just something as simple as this really helps to get that blood flow and circulation going to the lower discs of the body, which tend to be the more susceptible to injury as we get older. And then slowly come back to center. Keep the feet wide still again, and again, gently draw the knees in together and just breathe. Separate the knees and start to heel toe the feet in about hips distance apart. We're coming into bridge pose. So the feet are hips distance, and then walk the heels in a little closer towards the buttocks here. You're slowly going to work with some movement. You're going to press the hips up to the ceiling as the arms come up to ceiling and back behind the head. As you inhale, press through the feet. Lift up the pelvis, reach the arms up and back beyond the head. As you exhale, lower down the arms and lower down the sacrum and lower back. And as you do this a few more times, again, inhale, try to link the movement to breath. So as you finish the inhale, the back of palms touch the floor. And as you finish your full exhale, the sacrum and palms connect at the same time to the floor. Move at your own pace. Find what works for you. If you have an injured leg, you can do this with one foot. So you can rest with that injured leg on an ottoman or a chair in front of you and just start to work the strength of that opposite leg. Let's do 2 more rounds wherever you're working. Once you're finished, come back on to the sacrum. Keep the knees bent. Breathe. And then slowly start to hug the knees in and rock side to side. When you're ready, roll to your side to gently press yourself up to a seat for a moment, coming into a side body stretch using your blanket or towel. So if you can, taking your blanket or towel to about a 3-fold. So I folded mine once, and then twice, or maybe even about a 1, 2, yeah, it's about a 3-fold. And then come to roll it up. Again, you control the thickness of the roll here. This roll is going to your side body, just underneath that bottom rib. So we're going to start on the right hip. So having plenty of space on your mat. You're taking that roll here, you're coming onto your right hip, and that roll comes just underneath that bottom rib. You can also use a pillow or another blanket underneath the head if you'd like. Again, nourish the body. This is restorative practice. Use what you need. And once you come down, if that roll is a little too intense, you can unravel it a little bit. If it feels good, again, you're looking for some of this kind of gentle pressure on this right side of the body where your liver is. So that's the organ we're really squeezing out here. Your right arm can come out in front of you. You can take it up. You can even breathe the left arm out and up over the head to get deeper into your left side body. Any position with the legs, knees bent or straight. I'll mind the time as you start to breathe slowly and deeply into your right side body, just underneath that lower rib. Tuning into that gentle compression, or maybe a fairly intense compression. You control the intensity. We just talked about the organ we're working, but in terms of the muscle groups here, this is around the area of your obliques, so those core muscles. You can even kind of explore Maybe gently rocking a little bit further back as you get deeper into these deeper muscles rather than the superficial of the back. So the QL muscle, the multifidus muscle, all these muscles that run along the back of your spine. So you can kind of explore there a little bit. If it gets too edgy, back out. But if you can, a gentle roll back. You can even kind of bend into that left knee and foot, kind of see how that feels. And then maybe you roll back onto your side. So you can work in stillness. You can offer up some gentle movement if it feels good. Again, it's really great rinsing and wringing out of the deeper muscles here. Make sure you can breathe comfortably. Use your breath to move. Take one more deep breath here. Now, slowly, we're not going to make our way up. We're going to slowly roll onto the back again. So take your time, keep the roll where it is. You may have to shift it a little bit to center. Keep your knees bent, send the sacrum down, and just kind of feel what you feel. This is just around that, just above the sacral shelf, again, still underneath that bottom part of the ribs. Now we're kind of in the adrenals and the kidneys. If you want, maybe a gentle rocking side to side. We're not here for long. Maybe you just pause and take a few deep breaths and really feel the difference of your right and left side body. And then when you're ready, take your time as you roll to your left hip. Take your time to adjust. So maybe you do have to come up just for a moment. Rest that blanket underneath that bottom left rib. This is your practice. This is for nourishment, or maybe you're looking for a gentle edge. Make sure you can breathe comfortably. Don't mind the time. And again, same thing. Maybe some gentle rocking back to the kind of kidney and adrenal, and then forward. Now you're kind of in this area of the spleen, which, although in the spring season we're working liver and gallbladder, the spleen has a real nice direct correlation to the liver in terms of blood circulation. Maybe you find some stillness here. Really use the blanket or towel to your benefit. So as you take a deep breath, really press the side body into the blanket or towel to rinse and wring out. And as you exhale, let it sink back into the body. Maybe you start to notice the body kind of contouring a little bit to your prop. Just a few more breaths. and slowly begin to make your way out. Once again, trying to find your way onto the back with that blanket roll there. Gentle squeeze of the adrenals and kidneys, a gentle rock maybe with the knees. And then take your time to remove the blanket from underneath. Lower back down onto the spine. Just kind of notice the difference. Maybe a difference in your breathing. If you had a blanket underneath your head, move the blanket just for a moment, just to feel the whole spine resting on the floor again. And then gently roll to your side. Roll over to hands and knees. Tabletop position for some gentle cat and cow movements, pelvic tilts. Breathing in and out. And then slowly start to sit the buttocks back to heels just for a moment. We're going to use the blanket or towel again, but not as thick of a roll this time. So you're going to send it to the center of the mat, unwind it again, and just a gentle little roll here. So again, you control the thickness. You can come to a thick roll. You can even fold the blanket, three-fold. That may be a little less pressure. You're taking it underneath either the navel or just on top of the pelvis here. So once you take it to center, again, a roll or a fold, and if you have to adjust, you adjust. You're going to take it to your pelvic bone, or again, just underneath the navel. The pelvic bone here is more of a release for your lower back, so that's kind of where I'm working right now. Just underneath the navel is a nice release and massage for the stomach muscles. So whatever feels good for you. Again, you can take a blanket, you can stack your forearms, and then rest the forehead on the forearms. Try to keep the head neutral. If you have to turn the head, that's okay. But if you can, just trying to rest your forehead on the forearms in this prone position. Take the feet as wide as you'd like. You can even maybe bend the knees, sway the legs side to side like windshield wipers. And breathe. Bring your awareness and focus to your glutes all the way down to your legs. Notice if you're still kind of holding on to tension of the glutes. Try to really relax all the way down to the ankles and toes. Take one more breath. Slowly begin to make your way out. Stretch and move in any way that feels good. You can even come back to cat and cow. You can come to a child's pose, maybe a gentle sway of the hips side to side, or maybe just tabletop to really let the belly hang. Some of that pressure off the lower back. And then we're slowly going to make our way onto our seat, using the blanket again for our support underneath the pelvis. So you fold the blanket and then fold it one more time. It's kind of a thick, or of the towel, thicker position. You're going to send that underneath your pelvis. Here we're coming into dragonfly, a wide-legged forward fold. So if you need some props to keep you lifted, an ottoman, a chair, blocks, I'm going to do the full restorative here. So as I set up, I have 2 blocks and a bolster or long pillow. I have 1 block in front flat, the other block's at an angle. And the bolster is lying just on top of that, so I can hug it in right into the pelvis so that I'm not coming all the way down just yet. We're going to be here in this one for about 4 minutes. If when you come into this one and you feel fairly tight in the backs of your knees, another option, and that's why with restorative, we always have so many props within reach, hopefully nearby. If you don't, that's okay. Just something to think about. I'm going to use, you can also use blankets. So I just have one here, but a blanket underneath one knee, blanket underneath the other, so that when you fold, it's nice and supported. You're just kind of finding what works for you. And again, if you don't have a bolster, use blocks or even just use your hands. Try to relax the ankles and the feet. And when you're ready, gently folding forward so that you're still supported. Again, looking for this nourishment with these props for the body. And this is your practice, so maybe you're looking for a little bit of a stretch here in the hamstrings and the hips, very much connected for your lower back. Maybe you're just looking to settle into this shape that the body's making as well, as long as it's supported. If you're feeling any pain or strain of the lower back, the other option, if you have a bolster or even a chair, is to just keep your head even without dropping it below the heart. This is perfect as well. Bring your breath to your belly. Breathe in and out. Have the eyes closed, or maybe it's helpful for you to look down at the belly without judgment, watching it float outwards, and then drape back inwards towards the spine. If you'd like to, you can start to thread in counting of the breath. Inhaling to 4 and exhaling to 4. Take a deep breath in, then sigh it out. Gently begin to make your way out. You may take a moment and pause. And when you're ready, mindfully coming to place your props gently off to the side to find a place of stillness, or gently stretch and move in any way that feels good for you. Take your time. Next, we're preparing for the legs at 90 degrees. So if you have a wall nearby, I definitely suggest using the wall. If not, you can use your blanket or pillow underneath the sacrum, and the legs lift up towards the ceiling. We'll be here for about 2.5 minutes. So sometimes keeping the legs lifted can be a little challenging. You can also have a chair in front of the legs, rest the calves on the chair. I'm going to do this at the wall. Also, as you're lying down, if you, again, tend to suffer from dizziness or vertigo, or if you feel kind of that rush of blood to the head, which sometimes we can if we're flat on the back and the legs are up, use a pillow underneath the head. I'm going to do this with a bolster underneath my sacrum. You can also do this with a blanket underneath the sacrum. You can also do it flat on the floor. First, I'm going to draw myself close to the wall. Lift the feet up, bend the knees, and send that prop underneath the lower back. Now, we all come into this differently. Maybe you come onto the pillow itself and then come to lie down. And then drawing the legs up to some support. Or again, the legs can just be up, straight up in the air. Come to find what works for you. Now, if you're using a thicker pillow underneath the lower back and the head is getting a little kind of dizzy, send that blanket underneath the head. Take the legs as wide as you'd like, wherever you're working. Just one of these really beneficial poses to do after a long day, whether you were sedentary, maybe you were running around a lot, maybe you were on your feet a lot. I do this a lot when I get home from a shift at the restaurant. If I'm on my feet the whole time, no matter what type of restaurant shoes they suggest, the feet just still tend to ache. So this is just a really nice restorative pose to do. It also aids in sleep. So I'd say maybe 5 minutes before you go to bed to try this on, see if it works for you. Again, deep belly breathing. If it helps, send the palms on the belly. Feel the belly expand into the palms here. And really feel gravity, send it back down. One more deep breath here. And slowly begin to bend the knees. Take your time to remove your prop from underneath the lower back. Bending the knees, placing the feet at the wall if that's accessible, or if you're at the wall, or hug the knees in and rock side to side. But we're going to stay on the back. So if you're at the wall, try to shimmy yourself just a little further away from the wall. We're coming into a reclined figure 4 for the hips. So I'm going to demonstrate at the wall. If you're not using a wall, I'll show you on the back without the wall. So I'm a little further away from the wall. You control the distance that you need. You're going to first start to hug your right knee in and then cross your right ankle over to your left knee. Now, this is where you may have to shimmy a little further away depending on the tightness of the hip. Using that left foot to press into the wall and then that right hand to maybe lightly press to the inside of the right thigh. If you're not using a wall, you're on the mat or the floor, same thing. And the knee, but now your left foot is down on the floor rather than pressing into a wall. And same thing using your right hand to lightly press to the inside of the right thigh. So find what works for you. And if you're looking for a little more of that intensity of the stretch, the wall can be really beneficial. What you can also do here if you're not at the wall is start to hug your left knee in. But make sure when you do that right knee isn't now coming closer in towards the chest. Try to keep that right knee out. Try to keep it in alignment with the right ankle as you start to maybe hug the left knee in or keep the left foot on the floor. Relax the right ankle, maybe give it a little bit of a roll, a wiggle of the toes. Breathing into the belly. Slowly begin to unwind. Either pressing both feet into the wall, just taking a moment to pause, or both feet flat on the floor and pause. When you're ready, left knee, left ankle over, right knee. finding what works for you. Right away, maybe noticing a difference of the right and left side. And try not to put a story behind it. Just, sometimes we think, oh, well, I'm tight on this side because of an old injury, or I don't know why I'm tight on this side, or, oh, I tweaked myself today. Just letting your body enjoy the shape it's making as you set the intention to reset and to nourish. Again, if you're on the floor, you can keep that right foot down or explore hugging the right knee in, all the while not letting that left knee hug in towards the chest too much. Relax both ankles, maybe give them both a little bit of a roll. Slowly begin to unwind. Pause. If you're at a wall, slowly begin to make your way away from the wall, back onto your mat or the floor. Preparing for our final twist. If you're using a blanket or a pillow, take your blanket or pillow over to your left side first. Extend your left leg straight out and down in front of you. Hug the right knee in and gently send your right knee and leg over to your left side. And that's what's really nice about this, like a thick pillow, is so that if you're very tight in the lower back or the hip or the knee here, you can really let it relax. And then your right arm extends. Look over your right fingertips. It's also nice to use your left hand to kind of hug on to that right thigh. Just tune into this zigzag shape that the body's making. This recline twist to rinse and wring out the practice. Slowly begin to unwind. Once again, as you unwind, come onto the back and pause. Take a few deep breaths. And when you're ready, shifting your prop over to your right side. Right leg straight, left knee hugs, and left knee gently sends to your right side. Take one more breath here. Slowly unwind. Come to find your Shavasana as supported as you'd like to be. Once you've found a nourishing Shavasana, allow the eyes to softly flow closed. Scan the body from head to toe. And just bear witness to what's shifted. Mentally, physically, even emotionally. Notice the rhythm of the breath, the quality of your thoughts. And for these next couple of minutes, just enjoying this posture where no effort is needed. Just a simple support of the floor underneath, maybe a few pillows and blankets. Try to stay as present as possible. Again, if you'd like to incorporate 4 counts in and 4 counts out. Slowly beginning to deepen the breath. Start to wiggle fingers and toes. Stretch and move in any way that feels good for you. You're ready, gently roll to your side to cradle your head there for a moment. And thank yourselves for coming to practice. Thank the body for everything it did. It was perfect. It's exactly where you need to be. Come to find your way up to a comfortable seat. You can still see me from here in the dark. It's a nice hour to see that shift from daylight to evening hours. When you're ready, close the eyes once more and just try to set the intention to sit up a little taller and maybe even notice if you feel a difference just from sitting from the beginning of practice to now. Maybe a little more space created in the lower back. Maybe a little bit of some relief, the sciatica if you experience it, or any kind of lower back inflammation or pain, discomfort. When you're ready, guide the palms to touch in front of the heart. Setting the intention to take your yoga off the mat and into your world. A beautiful rest of your evening. Peace. So I'll cut it from here, but thank you both. Have a great evening. Nice to see you, Sue. The room looks great in there. It's coming along really nicely. Hey, Dane, glad you could make it. Sorry, you guys can't see me, but all right, have a great rest of your night, and I'll see you next week. Bye, guys.